Nigel Farage is back in the news. Nigel Farage, the MP, the new MP for Clacton-on-Sea, the leader of Reform UK, he's landed himself in a controversy over remarks he made on LBC about holding constituency surgeries, those face-to-face meetings where MPs sit down with the public. And Farage claimed that he had been advised by the Speaker of the House of Commons office not to hold those meetings due to security concerns, implying that the threat to his life was so severe that even parliamentary authorities were worried about his future. However, this is dubious. The Speaker's office, along with the parliamentary security team, promptly denied any such guidance was ever issued to Farage, with the Press Association reporting that neither entity had any recollection of telling Farage to avoid in-person surgeries. In a press conference, when Farage was asked who was lying in this situation, he deflects, quipping that the Speaker's office is always right. It's a slippery evasion. In fact, it's such an entertainingly slippery evasion, I'm going to play it here. So it implies the Speaker's office was indeed accurate, but doesn't quite admit that he has exaggerated, fabricated, or even lied about his own claims. Listen to what he's got to say here.
A few weeks ago, you said that the Speaker's Office and the Parliamentary Security Team had given you advice not to hold in-person constituency surgeries. Speaker's Office says this didn't happen. Parliamentary Security can find no record of such advice being given. Which one of you is lying?
The Speaker's Office is always right.
Now, the problem is that Farage defended his reluctance to hold surgeries by invoking the tragic murder of Sir David Amess, who was fatally attacked at a constituency surgery in 2021 by an extremist. In comparing himself to Amess, Farage implied that his public image might attract even greater danger. His rather dramatic description of constituents flowing through the door with knives was a striking, albeit incendiary, portrayal. And this remark alone seems to inflame the discussion, suggesting his view that he views his constituents as an almost uncontrollable threat. He at the time on LBC, he said, I've got to take a train. And the interviewer said, I've got to be quick because you've got to take a train. A train? I can't take a train. Because it's not safe. Not safe for me to take a train. The Queen can take a train. I can't. And the absurdity is that here is a man who goes in and out of the GB News offices near the Bank of England, swans in and out of the Ned, undoubtedly with his pals, sees himself as a man of the people, having a pint in any local tavern, and as if he's some sort of Pickwickian character, and yet when it suits him, when he's too lazy to actually hold a real constituency surgery, which is what he's elected to do, he appeals to security. The Speaker, Sir Hoyle, took a completely different stance. He says that holding constituency surgeries is vital to democracy, and he's emphasised the importance of consulting parliamentary security for safe ways to continue this public service, and Sir Lindsay himself continues to meet his Chorley constituents, underscoring his commitment to accessibility despite the risks. His response casts Farage's reluctance in a very unflattering light, and I think it hints that other MPs, perhaps equally unkeen on such engagements, might view the public as potential dangers rather than citizens to be served, and would be wrong. My last MP in Rugby didn't seem to be holding in-person constituency surgeries, and the new MP, I don't know what he's going to do, but his assistant did telephone me the other day, which was rather pleasant, asking if he could pass on details to the Department of Digital Culture, Media and Sport. I was only too keen, but I never had that precise request from the previous MP, despite writing religiously for over 5 years. Farage's assertions have raised eyebrows in Clacton as well. Reform UK's Clacton chair, Peter Harris, attempted damage control, insisting that Farage would indeed hold surgeries at the appropriate time, though he acknowledged that security concerns remained a priority. It appears that Farage's narrative may not be entirely about safety, but perhaps also about shaping a political image of himself as a figure so embattled that he cannot risk meeting his constituency without stringent precautions. I need to be guarded from the people who have voted for me. I am like a savage bear. In the end, Farage's remarks raise more questions than answers. Has he genuinely been deterred by security concerns, or is this simply a convenient excuse to avoid the traditional demands of an MP's constituency work? Is this simply an excuse to be lazy? For a politician long known for his ability to generate controversy, it's perhaps fitting that even something as straightforward as a constituency surgery has now become a question of public safety, political theatre, and a clash with parliamentary authorities. It is absurd. But I suppose we should have known that the moment Farage got into Westminster, the rules would start to change, because Farage is like a storm, and the storm whips around him. And I don't think he has to do very much, well, certainly doesn't have to do very much, to generate that tempest.